So our build is coming out in a few weeks. All those items for sale, apart from one, the cargo ship, you'll be able to use immediately in game. Along with that build, we're also releasing a new purple racing track. We've got massive performance updates. We're releasing DLSS, which will give a big boost to those with NVIDIA cards. We've got some other updates in there. The file nodes will be online by Christmas. Yeah, it's another absolute huge release.
What's up, Ada Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. I'm your host here, Fareed. As a part of today's interview, I'm super fired up to have Rob Gregg and Josh Jones from the official Cornucopias game on to discuss some of their latest updates, upcoming NFT sales, and we'll be closing out here with some pretty big leaks, giving us a glimpse of what's to come next. Without any further ado, let me bring up today's guest. We've got Rob Gregg and Josh Jones. Welcome up, gentlemen. How are you guys doing this wonderful morning?
What's up, man? Welcome. Good to be here.
Yeah. No, thank you. The pleasure and the opportunity is all mine. The last time we got to catch up was actually not too long ago in Vegas. It seems like it's been a lot longer. You guys are now back, hopefully rested up. I'm excited to have you guys on here and to dive into some of your latest updates. So without any further ado, maybe Josh, I feel like you do a really good job of recapping what the Cornucopias game is. Do you mind sort of giving us that sort of that
Sure.
canned spiel?
Sure. Well, it's semi-canned. We need to really get that laser tight, but that's part of what marketing is working on right now in terms of solidifying our messaging. But yeah, it's a multiplayer. Cornucopias is a multiplayer game, and the lore is such that humanity has ascended from the Earth's surface because of a calamity that occurred on Earth, and with some technology, it's built these giant domes in the sky, and each of the giant domes has a different curated gaming experience that includes fishing, mining, crafting, racing, combat, and more. So it's exciting. We've actually already launched and are in pre-alpha with 4 different domes that are in 8 kilometers in diameter. So what that means is it's a huge amount of explorable space that we've already released in just 3 years. And we're over the next 6 months, we're shifting from pre-alpha to alpha, and it might be longer than 6 months, but that's our target is right around there. There's going to be a ton of new content released because our foundation is laid to where at this point we can really add a lot of content fairly quickly. And the team has been built up and we're executing incredibly well. So we're in a very exciting place.
Nicely stated. Sounds like you've definitely been practicing. Kudos to you. For the viewers, if it's your first time hearing about Cornucopias, I'll leave the official links to their website and everything else that you need to know in order to join their community down below as a part of today's video description. That said, again, there's quite a bit to jump into. We'll discuss recent updates. We'll talk about your upcoming NFT sale, the brand new NFT Marketplace, and I believe there's a brand new button on your website that I want to learn a little bit more about. Now, we'll close out here with a little bit about some leaks. But that said, I want to turn it over to the both of you guys to sort of kick us off with general updates. So I believe the last time I had you guys on, we were discussing the expansion into base. We were also discussing, I believe it was the Valley Raceworks. It might have been the T9? Or is it the T7?
The F9R?
Yeah.
The F9R. I do apologize, but we're discussing that particular vehicle coming to fruition.
There
and
is
then
some T vehicles, but yeah, the F9R was the Valkyrie.
I've got to get a little bit of the cobwebs out there. So I do apologize for that. But that aside, you guys have also released your COPI nodes, right? So I want to turn it over to the both of you guys. This is really sort of an open section for you guys to sort of recap some of the recent progress, and then we'll jump into what's coming next.
Sounds good. Rob, you want to kick it off?
Yeah. So when you saw us in Vegas back in July, I think it was, we were showing off Solace, which was a build that was going to come a few weeks later. So we released that build that had all the 3 Solaces in there. So they're now playable. We also had the world travel system where you could start in Toledo Valley, go through the public transport, through the cloud gate, and then travel in the monorails. So a lot of our community have been running around in all the different Solaces. We also have like a hand scanner. So within the solaces, we put a little mini map as well. So the community have been going around looking where all the land plots are, and then seeing where they want their land plots, and looking at the resources nearing them, the mining, the logging, and the fishing, getting ready for the upcoming land grab later this year, where they can turn their existing NFT deeds into actual land plots when they claim them. We've integrated the database since then as well. So we've got live leaderboards. We've had some pre-season tournaments. What else have we been up to? We've opened testing to all PCs now. So you there is no restriction on what graphics card you've got. Although we do definitely recommend like a 2060 or above. So there's like a 6 gigabyte limit. And that kind of brings you up to where we are at the moment. Alongside that, we've been working on the file nodes. So we're currently testing those at the moment. So the file nodes are community hosted nodes where when other players come to download the game is distributed from various nodes in little tiny chunks. So what that does is that helps us to reduce our costs that we pay for AWS for download costs by about 95%. So that will be fully integrated round about December. But at the moment, because we're going through this testing phase, everybody that has registered their nodes is getting kind of like pre-release rewards. So that's going really well. And from next week, we're going to start reaching out to some of the community to come and help us to create those early node pools, and then we're going to roll that out more and more as we get towards Christmas time. So there is tons going on, and I've not even touched on what's coming out in the build in the next few weeks.
Yeah, hold your horses there, Rob. It's not leak time yet, but we'll definitely make sure to swing back to you when it is. Josh, anything that you maybe want to add about some of the recent developments or some of the advancements that you guys have made over the course of the last months?
Not really add, but maybe accentuate. So the world travel segment that Rob mentioned, that was one of our first. That's our first game loop, really. That's the ability to travel around from dome to dome and come back to Toledo and all of that. And that was a big task and a big accomplishment. And I think that the travel is actually a good amount of fun as well. At least temporarily, and it gives you something to do, to explore. It gives you the ability to explore the giant realm of Cornucopias. And then I would also accentuate that, being that we released Solace 1, 2, and 3 to explore, that's enormous. And so what happened for us in that period of developing Solace is we made workflows significantly more efficient. We divided up the teams into different areas of focus in ways that it really allowed us to get efficient and improve. And so I was actually talking to David about this yesterday. We, with Esperanza, it's going to go a lot more quickly because of all the work that we've already done. The team is prepped. The processes are prepped. We don't have to prep the workbox functionality. It's there. And so that workbox functionality that we've talked about before, there's, a number of different workboxes. Is it 32 or 34? I always miss the number.
36.
32, 36. Oh,
Yeah,
shoot. What was I quoting before? I was way off. Anyway, the number of workboxes, it's how our team gets in, and different team members can have a different workbox that they're focusing on, with efficient meshes and tools that we've built that enable that process to go more quickly. And we have actually, here's a little mini leak. Most all of the assets for Esperanza are complete, and we're about to move into the workbox phase of building out Esperanza. So the point I'm making there is that a lot of this foundational work that took longer before is going to go more quickly in the near future. And all of this foundation is some of the slower part of development, because there's learning, there's iteration, there's a ton of planning that goes on. And now we're moving into a place where the pace of what's added each new game release is very significant. And so I think that's the only thing I would add to what Rob's saying, is that we've moved to a place where development is efficient and getting a lot more rapid in terms of the new content that we're adding.
It's a really good production line for world building.
It is. It is.
Those
And
world-
that's a good thing, because we have quite a few more worlds to build. You know, we've got 3 domes in Esperanza. We've got 3 domes in Fortune. We've also got more theme zones as well, quite a few more. So after that, which is just incredibly exciting, what the amount of variety that you'll have in Cornucopias to experience.
I'm excited for it. And I think what a lot of people refer to that development style is like agile, right? Where you're able to listen, quickly pivot, iterate, and keep on moving. And for me, as a community member, again, I mentioned this, I think, in interviews past, but to see you guys going from your first NFT sale, you know, to actually opening up the game for mythic NFT holders, right? And then now getting to the point where anybody can basically jump in and play with little to no restrictions. This tells me you guys are obviously maturing, but you guys are getting to a point where things are about to go mainstream. And I think from a timing perspective, this couldn't be any better. And so I want to maybe just pivot just a little bit here and talk a little bit about the macro. There's been a game that's come on the radar not too long ago called Off the Grid. And we've seen major adoption. You've seen, for example, you know, big streamers like Ninja playing it, which has sort of caused like his community to jump in and sort of play the game, which has resulted in a lot of people onboarding using Web3 without even knowing that they're using Web3, right? So the Avalanche ecosystem has seen a huge boost from this. And so I'm just looking from the outside in with what you guys have. I think you guys are very close to that sort of penultimate point where like Cornucopias takes off. What are you guys' thoughts about just gaming and just, you know, the macro perspective about where we are right now at such a pivotal time for blockchain, but then also gaming in this industry?
You know, from the perspective of Gunzilla Off the Grid, that game is incredibly important in the space. And I view it as a positive. I wish them the best of success, and it already looks like they're having that. And I think what they're doing for the space is incredibly important, because what we have with Ninja and a lot of these other streamers and influencers that they've reached out to, we have a change, the beginning of a change in perspective around what Web3 gaming is, which is essential. So not only are they coming out with quality, AAA type quality experience and a very complete package that they're launching with, they're giving credibility to Web3 gaming. They're changing the perception of Web3 gaming. And what I think it's going to do personally is that it's going to kick off the Web3 gaming bull cycle. And obviously on the macro side of your question, you know, I believe, you know, in looking at history and what's happened in previous bull cycles and bear cycles, and also in tying in the global liquidity from what's happening in the global liquidity in terms of money supply. And there's actually a chart that correlates heavily. I don't know what the percentage of correlation is, but it correlates heavily global liquidity with the price of Bitcoin. And I think that recently we found a bottom. Maybe it was a few months ago, somewhere around there, with global liquidity, and it's just on the verge right now of starting to increase. And meaning that global liquidity is on the rise because of macroeconomic policies of governments around the world. They're easing their policy. The Fed just recently lowered interest rates. So in terms of macro perspective globally, there's so many that are in a similar position to the US. And what we're about to see, I think, is a bull cycle for the whole of crypto. But Gunzilla being added into the mix to really kick off Web3 gaming inside of crypto as well. So that's all I would say on it. I'm incredibly excited.
Yeah. And I've been thinking, just from a content creator's perspective, I would love to have creators like you guys that are obviously very well honed in into your own niches to discuss broader markets. Now, don't take this the wrong way. I obviously appreciate you guys joining me to talk about Cornucopias, but I think you guys have so much more value to offer in that sense as well. So I'd love to have like an off-air conversation about that moving forward, but I really appreciate the insights there, Josh. And as you mentioned, the global money supply, as that rises, we're going to see people jumping into risk on assets, which crypto, gaming, Cardano native assets, that's going to be where a lot of this new money flows into. So again, I'm excited for it. I think a lot of people that have been waiting in the space obviously are excited for it. Being able to not only play their games, but to be able to bring in, or to usher in a new community into what is now Web3 and blockchain technology. Now, Rob, over to you about, sort of the macro side of things, and then we'll jump back into Cornucopias and talk about your upcoming NFT sale and your brand new marketplace.
Well, yeah, I mean, we obviously fly the flag for Web3, and I think Web3 gaming is definitely inevitable. But this has caught me a little bit off guard, because I thought that the cheerleader would probably come from either an established brand, an IP, or maybe somebody like Apple or Nvidia or Epic themselves pushing forward. So for it to come from the inside out from a Web3 game is absolutely amazing. Those off the grid, they're a little bit ahead of us. They've raised 100 million. They've got 250 developers. They're 5 years into their project. But what they're doing is they're doing their marketing from a traditional point. So you've not really seen much of them, although I think they've had Dr. Disrespect that has, been pushing it forward to behind the scenes. But now that they're ready, they've got their chain avalanche behind them. They're pushing in millions towards their marketing. They're putting money in themselves, and they're going the traditional route of throwing money at the influencers, which is exactly the right approach. And what we're seeing off the back of it, apart from the interest, is I'm not seeing much pushback from it, but I am seeing the influencers making sense in their own words. So for example, people hear the word crypto and they automatically think, oh, that's going to be a scam. But they're not saying that now. They're saying, look, what they're doing is they're bringing just the equivalent of a Steam marketplace. So that's what they're doing. But instead, you can go into that marketplace in Steam and you can see the history of the items, just like you can on the blockchain. The difference is the Steam marketplace is all centralized and it's held, whereas the blockchain, everything is open and transparent. So it's great to see and hear how the traditional Web2 streamers are making sense of Web3. And they instantly understand it. They understand the in-game currency. They understand the need for assets. Now they're pretty quickly getting up to speed with the fact that they own their assets and that they can trade them in a safe way, and it's built in. So yeah, this is a huge pivotal moment for off the grid, which is kind of like a Fortnite Call of Duty style genre, completely different to our game, although we will have elements of that. But the benefit of what they've done will be seen by a lot of crypto games.
And I think it offers an opportunity for builders like yourselves to see, okay, they're in our niche. They've figured out something that's worked. How can we sort of deconstruct that and take some of the key pieces that got them to where they are now, right? So I'm excited for that. But then number two, to see as well how long it takes traditional, gaming platforms like Steam to finally incorporate blockchain, right? Like at what level do they say, okay, hey, we can't fight this anymore. We also need to now incorporate blockchain and get people these freedoms when it comes to IP and ownership. Otherwise, we know that they're going to go into a decentralized marketplace where there is no permissions. There is no need to trust anybody, and you have access to all to everything there, and you actually own it all. So again, I think for me, it's clear.
The pressure is there. The pressure is there for Steam, because Epic Games, they've already accepted this. They now accept NFT games, related games, and we're seeing that more and more people adding to the wish lists. And not only Epic are on this journey early, Steam will respond to it, but all the other mainstream games like Grand Theft Auto you know, Rockstar, they're looking. They absolutely are looking. They have been for years, and then this could be just what they want to get the feedback. And really low risk for them because somebody else is taking the risk. They're putting the, you know, the millions of dollars in there, and I think there'll be a really fast response to this. And whatever was holding them back, they'll be like, now's the time.
It
Really are
literally,
broken down so many barriers. It's brilliant what Off the Grid have done.
yeah, it literally reminds me of the Bitcoin spot ETF, where it went literally from nobody wanting to buy this thing, and then overnight everybody buying this thing, right? And even again, just looking at headlines, you know, a year ago versus headlines like last week, you know, you now have big banks, big, you know, hedge funds talking about the fact that Bitcoin is one of the best things to invest in. And I'm just like, man, where were these guys last year? You know, I felt like we were getting so much FUD last year. We were getting sued and all these different things. But again, I think this is for a different conversation. I'm just fired up and excited to talk about the macro. So I would love to continue this on maybe a separate chat or on or some sort of separate segment. But let's jump back into Cornucopias and talk about your upcoming NFT marketplace. So again, I know you guys work with the Dirtbirds super early on. You guys built that sort of version 1 of your own platform where you can pay with ADA on Cardano. We could also even pay with COPI. And then I believe you guys expanded that over into Base. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there's a second version. So for anybody who just isn't aware, right, can you get us up to speed as to what we can expect? And then we'll dive into sort of the inaugural sale taking place on this brand new marketplace.
So we early on we worked with Dirt, and those guys are great. They're good friends of ours. I still occasionally catch up with them. We saw them actually recently in Vegas. But then we moved on. I think we did 2 sales with them. Then we built our own. Well, we were actually building our own in the entire process of that, our own NFT marketplace, and that's been built, and that's currently going to be used. What's been added to that NFT marketplace is more on the front end of our primary website, cornucopias.io, which we'll be showing you a few images from today as well, which is exciting. But it's looking incredibly clean. We've made a lot of additions in that regard, and I'm just really excited because we're moving towards the phase where we're going to be having a store, which is typically expected in mainstream gaming and even Web3 gaming. You've got a store where I can choose from a variety of different assets. And I think that's an incredibly exciting thing. And that's what's happening with our sale that's coming up soon, which will be multi-chain. There will be some assets on Base and some assets on Cardano. And so it's very exciting in that regard. We're basically shifting strategies a little bit and moving in a direction where, actually, I can't even forget to say this, COPI will be accepted for some items. So we're starting off the utility process of COPI in a variety of ways. And that will only increase over time. For those of you that may not have listened to us before, when we announced our tokenomics paper, it was about 6 months ago. But what we indicated with that is that we are moving in the direction of COPI as the utility for our in-game marketplace. And so we're taking that first step here in this sale that's coming up very soon.
Is there anything that you can share with us, Josh or Rob, about sort of the similarities or differences between the existing marketplace and the new version, right? So I know for this existing one, I my Discord, I'm able to connect my wallet and just get everything sort of ready ahead of time. You guys have integrated notifications, you know, as soon as an actual sale has been made or transaction is processed. You know, could you guys maybe, again, walk us through some of the biggest similarities or potential differences that we can expect as a community?
Well, I think you've still got the same back end, but like Josh said, there's a different front end now because we are selling more than one item. So the strategy is to kind of always have something for sale because that's what you expect when you come to a traditional game. Now, some of our items we fully expect will sell out. They're of multiple rarities, so we expect those kind of items to sell out quickly, and then others people will probably come in and just maybe buy 1 or 2 of them, but then they'll probably buy different types. So the rarities for those type of items will already they'll be fixed. So you'll know you're already getting a rare or a legendary or a mythic or an uncommon. So there is a slight difference, and and we will also rotate those. So those items will be up for sale for a few weeks, and then we'll take some of them down, and we'll put some different items up, and then we'll take them down, and we'll rotate them to have freshness within those. There'll be more of like a seasonal approach. So as we come towards Christmas, we might have a Christmas theme towards it, and so everything that you'd expect. And the long-term vision is people will be able to buy the assets off the marketplace using COPI, obviously, but you might be able to do that with a credit card. So you will buy a credit card, and at the back end, we will instantly transfer that on a DEX to COPI. So we'll actually utilizing COPI, but maybe in the background. So we're trying to make it to as accessible to as many people as we can, and they can come into the project whichever way suits them.
That's really, really impressive. And I think we've talked about this in the times past as well. Like, you guys white labeling your marketplace, right? Obviously, it's done you guys wonders. I think there's a lot of other teams out there that could benefit from a very similar solution. And with integrations for traditional payment methods, I think you guys could be onto something there. So again, I'm not sure if there's a market to sort of, onboard or leverage this with other projects. But to me, at least in my experience, being able to jump on there, being able to register ahead of time, being able to even sort of participate in like that early lottery, hopefully I'm using the right terminology there. And then having notifications throughout the entire process has made my life a breeze. And I could definitely imagine a lot of projects that could benefit from something like that. One thing that I would love to see, and I'm not sure if you guys have maybe thought about this, right, is the ability to actually resell on the Cornucopias marketplace, right? So something like JPEG.store.
We're definitely working on that. And to comment on your point, I mean, that just further gives utility for COPI token, right? And so that's definitely in the works. In fact, there's just so much that we're building and working on overall. And I want to comment on the point you made about other projects on Cardano being able to utilize our tech or white label it or whatever. We've talked about, so one of the things that's happened with our choice of primarily early on, most of our NFTs and a lot of our development was focused in the Cardano community. We had started with the token on Binance chain, and we've always indicated that we would be cross-chain. But so much of what we had to do because of the state of where Cardano was we had to create our own systems. And that was the one example of that is the NFT marketplace that we built. And I think we did a phenomenal job because a lot of people commented on how clean and smooth the process was for Cardano NFT mints. And so I do agree with you, and we have discussed that. But we've had to do that in many areas. We built our own desktop launcher as well. We built our own node technology as well. And so all of these could be a value add for other people when the time is right. And when the time is right and we're ready, we have the resource to be able to have teams or a board managing whatever the project is. If we split it off or whatever, when the time is right and when it makes sense, we might start doing some of that. But right now, we've got so much on our plate for the next 6 months that we're really trying to execute on that. However, there might be something coming soon that we can, announce to you guys on what's going to happen there. But I just, in general, we've had to innovate and build a lot of our own tech, and there's drawbacks and pluses to that. So it's just part of the process.
Yeah, this is version 3 of our marketplace. Like you said, the first version was with the Dirtbirds. That's over like 2 years ago. Then, since 2 years ago, we now had our own marketplace, and this is the third one, the next evolution. And this one is actually cross-chain and cross-wallet. So this current sale will have 3 types of sale. We will have backpacks, vehicles, outfits, hats and apparel. Those are available to buy either on Cardano or base chain. It's the same quantity on both. We then will have the vehicles that are, you don't know what you're going to get. That could be a common all the way up to a mythic. And we're also giving a free mint of a Quantum Jack helmet That's in limited supply, and that will help us to get eyes and attention on the project as well. So there's a lot of variety on there. We don't expect people to buy everything, but the starting price, apart from being free, is $5, all the way up to the Juggernaut, which is a lot higher price, but it's a lot more rare.
Yeah, I wanted to respond to a couple of other things. I feel like I'm going to throw the conversation off if I backtrack that far, but you guys have made a lot of really good mentions. I'm super bullish and super excited to see what comes out of you guys sort of launching Cornucopias as a service provider, right? If you guys need a product manager, Rob and Josh, my phone is always open. You guys are more than welcome to reach out to me. I'm happy to help you guys sell what you guys are building. On a much more serious note, I love what you guys are doing with these upcoming items. Rob, you mentioned seasonality. I think back of like games like RuneScape that I used to play, when I was coming up as a young kid. And so to see you guys sort of bringing this concept to Cornucopias has me super excited. And it brings back sort of like the nostalgic feeling of like, okay, once this is announced, I need to jump in there and get whatever this rare item is, because I know it's probably not going to come back, and it's going to solidify sort of like my status in history, right? Marking the fact that like I was there back when this happened in Cornucopias. So again, I love sort of the traditional elements you guys are bringing to this. Now, we've discussed what's actually going up for sale. You've mentioned the jetpacks, backpacks, vehicles, and apparel. I love the amount of brands, right? So it's not like everything is just for like just one thing. You guys have gone as far as like having in-game brands, right? Not just for vehicles, but even for clothing. So I love the amount of detail here. Speaking of detail, though,
Can I just acknowledge a team member then on that?
Go for it.
So Mark has been our graphic designer. His work is endless because of all the brands we've had to build out. And so he's done a tremendous job, and he's been hard at work, and especially just to prep for the sale. I just wanted to throw him some props, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, kudos to you, Mark, for all the hard work. Again, I think it shows the quality because you guys have depth, right? It's not just one particular NFT. You guys have that depth with all these different brands. Speaking of details, I would love to hear a little bit more about the actual timing of the sale, what networks it'll be on, and then you sort of already touched a little bit about the payment, but I think those are really important to share with the community as well. So any additional details about when and where?
Yeah, so we've decided, I guess we can announce that because this will come out Friday, right? I think we're announcing probably today.
With an asterisk, but yeah.
The sale date will be the 23rd. That's when it's going to start. Asterisk, subject to change, but yeah, that's the current plan. Is the 23rd of October. So coming up soon. That's a week and a half, something like that.
Perfect. And will that be
less than a week?
All of the assets that we see right now listed, right? So again, will that be for all of these? Do you guys plan on doing it one? Okay, perfect. So, do you mind maybe explaining that a little bit?
This is going to go on over about 21 days or something like that. There's going to be phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So phase 1 will start off with a certain number of assets for sale, and then we'll move to phase 2 where we add in some more. Some will rotate in and out. It's just a variety of approaches there. And then, of course, there is the one free asset that Rob mentioned. That's a lot of fun. And so, if you're watching this video, be sure to go to our website, cornucopias.io, click on the marketplace button, go in and get your free asset. It's a free NFT. I mean, almost free. I mean, really close to free. You just have to pay the blockchain fees to grab that NFT, which is incredibly small. So yeah, that'll be fun.
I will not be missing out on my free NFT. For the viewers, check out the description down below again to all of the official links for everything Cornucopias related. Now, that said, I feel like that's a pretty big talking point. Maybe, Rob, if you have any closing thoughts, we can hear a little bit from you. But I would like to pivot to a button that I've just noticed on the website. So, Rob, if you have any closing thoughts, this would be the time to share them about the NFT Marketplace. Otherwise, we'll jump into a website update.
That was about, so our strategy all along has been, let's focus on Web3 first. We started on Cardano and Binance chain, and then we expanded. We've always been cross-chain in our plans. But the point was that we start to expand our awareness in Web3 ahead of the mainstream launch, which I've said is approximately 6 months from now. So the next 6 months, we're trying to really grow our Web3 awareness gradually through partnerships, etc. So this play button, what it does is it gives you access to the before this play button. The only way to get access to play our game was to hold a Cardano NFT, which for a lot of people that are in Web3, they may not know how to use Cardano, or they wouldn't know the first about which wallet to get or anything like that. And so it was a process that, you know, even for us getting influencers that are outside of Cardano to get them access to the game so they could comment on it was a challenge. It took us a good, like I remember several back and forths with people that cost me about an hour and a half in total just to get somebody onboarded to be able to play the game. So this gives us easier pathway for somebody to come in and play Cornucopias. Is it a big revenue generator? No, not at all. This is a slow trickle, but what it will eventually speed up. But what it is easier access that really starts to get our Web3 crew more awareness of what's happening in Cornucopias. And I think it's very exciting. It's very bullish in my mind, because it's like, hey, we're making it easier to get into the game, which is obviously the goal over time but we're doing it gradually. So that's kind of what that
with the Game Pass, you don't need an NFT, you don't need a wallet. You can just buy that one-off Game Pass, and then you can have access. Those people that already have one of our qualifying NFTs, they already have access, so they don't need to.
And that doesn't change. Yeah, you don't have to now go buy a game asset pass, or you don't now have to buy the early access pass to be able to play the game. If you have an NFT already, a vehicle NFT, a custom dome, a node, or a land NFT, then you're set. You've got the ability to get in and play the game. And so that's not changing. It's just for anyone new that's coming in that doesn't have one of those, it's easier.
And it is just pre-alpha. You know, in the future, when Cornucopias actually goes live, the game will be free to play for everyone. This is just early days.
Early access pass.
Yeah, and obviously you will still need to check your minimum PC requirements. That's still in place, but it also, what it's helped us to do is also break down those barriers more. We now can accept credit cards with our marketplace. We now have the roles where people don't need the wallet behind. So we're trying to make the blockchain and everything as invisible as we can, and make it familiar for Web 2 players. It's one of the onboarding strategy that we have.
Yeah,
I think it makes perfect sense to me. That's sort of the next item to tackle, right? Where you take a look at what is inhibiting new people from coming in. And a lot of that sometimes is just the technology. People don't want to take the time to manage a wallet or to understand the blockchain. But if you can give them this onboarding method where they're able to pay just $10, you know, it's really not that much. Again, I think it lowers the barrier, but then also I think it gives people like a taste test. It's like when you're walking around in the mall and they give you that little piece of the little Chinese the stick, and you know that sort of gets you in, you know. So I think that this is no different than that. And as you guys mentioned, for anybody who's already a part of the community, they don't have to take advantage of this. They already have access to the game. And so between that and what you guys have mentioned with, you know, accepting traditional payment methods, I think you guys are now sort of setting yourselves up to be able to be adopted by people that aren't necessarily crypto heads or that have been knee deep, you know, following crypto during this entire bear market. Because again, I do think that there will come a time where we're going to get a huge wave of new people that aren't like you and I, that, you know, live and breathe crypto, right? And so that said, we have gotten to, I think, the best part of today's show. Not that it hasn't been good so far, but I know a lot of people love the leaks. Yeah. And so, Rob, we will turn it over to you. I see your screen here, and you can walk us through today's leaks.
And you know what? I want to give props to the team here as well. So not just on the game developer and the game development team side, David and everything that he's doing with our programmers and our artists, but also to Jeff and the team, and Michael, the team that have put together this front end marketplace. They've all knocked it out of the park. So yeah, Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, so what we'll show you here is what our marketplace will look like next week, probably when we launch it, or we may even launch it this week. You're seeing the hero images across the top. I won't scroll down, but that's where the items for sale are, where you can filter. So we will see the junk jets here. You will see the Rando's Metalworks is, like you're saying, the in-game. This Quantum Jack is a helmet, and unlike any other NFTs, this is actually quite the inside of it, the lighting actually moves. It's alive. It's probably not the right word, but yeah, and that's free, which is, you know, our most advanced NFT, and you know, people will be able to have them. We've got the backpacks here. There's two types. There's this brown brawler edition one, and we've got the purple fury one. These are actually backpacks in game, so they give you additional storage as well as looking corn and cutie on your back. This is a hat, a Burger Barn hat. So it's actually on Tess, our in-game robot. So she's wearing that. And this is the first look of another manufacturer, Cargo Outfitters. The idea of the manufacturers, you know, Bubblejet, Cargo, Valkyrie, we've got the F9R there. We've got our NPC model also sporting a new in-game helmet and outfit. Is, you know, we're world building, and inside Cornucopias, you've got all these manufacturers. When you look at the Bubblejet, the new Bubblejet that's going to be on sale in a few weeks, we've had to look at the original Bubblejet and think, right, let's fast forward a decade or so. What would the next model come from? As it started off as that Bubblejet, how would they evolve that? So you've not only got to think of different manufacturers, you've got to then focus on being that manufacturer and how those come. So it's a really good fascinating insight into how these things are built. And over the next few months or so, we're going to release more and more lore. We're working on a trailer that will be used when we do our listing, either at the end of this year or next year, on the Epic Games Marketplace. That will have lots of more lore in there. So yeah, it's all about world building and creating this really unique space, so people get to understand more and more what Cornucopias is about. I'm releasing Solace early and allowing you to travel and see the space, and then Esperanza, and then Fortune, and then the other zones is all part of it, expanding that huge world space. So it's a huge project, but I think you can see the quality of what the team's producing here.
Yeah, I mean, Josh, I know you want to go. Let me just give you guys some kudos here. The attention to detail, it always blows my mind. Not just to the actual in-game assets, but even going as far as like the logo and the branding for the manufacturers. Like, you guys have not cut any corners. And I think ultimately this is what you guys will be known for, is the quality. I just feel quality, you know. I'm just like, I mean, nothing against whoever's going to be flying that junker jetpack, you know, you've got to get around, but I want the best in Cornucopias. I want the best in life. And so, like, looking at,
I mean, the story behind that, you know, the junker Metalworks, those guys are based on the earth. You know, they've got limited resources. All they've got is what they can scavenge.
But I also think there's a good amount of people that want to have that rugged look, you know, that worn look kind of feel. And that's what the junker kind of does as well. And it just brings in a little bit more of the Cornucopias lore. But yeah, I'm just looking at this gets me excited, because the team has knocked it out of the park. They've all been working endlessly around prepping for this. And it's just they've done incredibly well. And it speaks to it speaks to the whole story, and also some of the things that we said about Gunzilla off the grid earlier, which is, you know, we knew coming into this, we're building a Web3 game, and the perception of Web3 gaming from mainstream is that it's not a positive one, right? And so we knew that we needed to lead with paramount quality in everything that we do, because we wanted to create a quality experience from the start, not just what you experience when you go into our NFT marketplace being smooth and easy, but just every stage of the process, the onboarding experience, what you experience when you go into our Discord community. We've tried to really cultivate a solid, positive experience in our Discord community so that you're having a fun social experience, because we're all about entertainment, right? And then when we put these assets for sale on the marketplace, we think about and look at every single detail, like you said, Fareed. And so, because I think it's paramount that we lead with that kind of quality, so that we can change the perception of Web3, because what Web3 is doing for the world is important. And we all believe that philosophically as well. And so I think we're creating something that's going to bring in the masses into crypto. Some of them may not even know that they're using it, but it's still bringing in the masses to crypto and utility, et cetera. And what Gunzilla Off the Grid is doing is incredibly important as well. They're paving the way for a lot of us because they've released with that kind of quality, but that's what we're coming with as well. And it's exciting. And this sale is going to be incredibly exciting as well. So yeah, those images just get me fired up. They did such a great job on those.
Yeah. That's only a fraction of them.
Yeah, I'm bummed out Rob couldn't scroll down and show us the rest of the page, but don't worry, I'll definitely be participating in making sure to take advantage of that upcoming NFT sale, grabbing some of those rare and exclusive items. I just wanted to say again, huge kudos to this entire team. I think again, you guys are just setting the standard, not just within Cardano, but within the entire genre or niche of gaming. And so I think for anybody who's been here, who's seen you guys building from the start, if they haven't gotten a clue yet, I'm not really sure what, will sort of give them that peace of mind. But for me, being able to have access to you guys, being able to see you guys at in-person events, being able to see the product, the experience, I'm like, you guys are knocking it out literally on all fronts. Like, you guys are doing what every crypto project team needs to be doing. There's a lot of projects out here that aren't as vocal, that aren't as accessible. And I think the fact that you guys are, sort of the founding members. Obviously, there's also Ant and there's also Jeff as well. You guys have done a really good job of just being vocal, transparent, and bringing the community along the building process. So again, that's one thing that has sort of made me realize how important it is to have access, but then how important it is for projects to be open with their community. And so I think that's why you guys have seen the success that you guys have seen so far. And that's why I know you guys will be successful moving forward, is because of the different approach you guys have taken to just running Cornucopias, or the Cornucopias game as a whole. That said, we are at about 47 minutes. I mean, I feel like I could ramble on here. This has been definitely one of the most enjoyable chats I've had with you guys here so far. You guys continue to build, and hopefully you guys just really continue to bring forth your passion through the Cornucopias game. Now, as always, you guys have been here before. I love to close out here on closing comments. Anything that you guys want to highlight for the community here? I know that we've discussed a lot, but I think that there is still a lot going on that maybe we just haven't gotten to touch on. So now is the time to go ahead and bring that out, if anything.
Sure. One final point there as well on in regards to the quality and leading with quality, that, like we were discussing, one element that's required for that is quality assurance. So I wanted to give props to Ant, who's leading the QA charge, and Scruffy, because they're killing it and they are immersed right now. I'm assuming they're going to do a great job. I can't say that yet because we haven't released and done the sale, but they're immersed in testing all of this, not just the game dev, but anything we do on the website, they test. Anything we do on the marketplace, they test. So they have to get in there and test everything and make sure it's working well, and they're doing a great job. So I just wanted to acknowledge some team members. But you said anything else? Man, I think if you're watching this, get into the sale, grab your free NFT, but also join our communities so that you can stay in touch with what we're releasing over the next 6 months, because it is going to be an exciting lead up to our mainstream launch. We have so many things that are coming. And that's the main thing I'd say, is just development. We're operating on all cylinders and things are going incredibly well. We're having fun. The team is tired. There's no doubt about that. Need to give a little break here soon. But we're just functioning and executing incredibly well right now. So it's exciting to see. It's exciting for us. I get to see what the team does. I get all fired up, and it motivates me to do better at what I do. So,
as a project, as a game, as a team. You guys are at the finish line, and I would just say, like my coach would always tell me, run through the finish line. There's definitely going to be time to rest, but obviously I think just making sure you're taking care of yourselves mentally is important as well, right? So obviously don't burn yourselves out, but I would definitely say keep on kicking butt. You guys have been doing awesome, and the entire Cardano ecosystem and now Base, ETH, and BNB are all ready to support you. That said, Rob, Greg, over to you for closing thoughts.
Final words. Yeah, I mean, we're keen that the things that we sell on our marketplace are usable immediately or in the following build. So our build is coming out in a few weeks. All those items for sale, apart from one, the cargo ship, you'll be able to use immediately in game. Along with that build, we're also releasing a new purple racing track. We've got massive performance updates. We're releasing DLSS, which will give a big boost to those with NVIDIA cards. We've got some other updates in there. The file nodes will be online by Christmas. Yeah, it's another absolute huge release.
Yeah. And for anybody who just isn't aware, everything that we've discussed so far, if I'm not mistaken, is captured in what is known as the COPI Wiki, right? So if you got any questions about anything that we've discussed as a part of today's video, number one, check out the description down below. But then number two, make sure to go ahead and also check out the COPI Wiki if you have any questions about the Cornucopias in-game economy, the NFTs, and just how any of this really comes together. There's a full breakdown of literally everything from A to Z, talking about the home bubbles, traveling, cloud gates, all of that stuff there is mentioned in the COPI Wiki. That will do it here for today's interview. Again, I can't thank you both enough. We've got Josh Jones and Rob Gregg here, two of the four co-founders here. Shout out to Ant and Jeff. They're not always visible. They're not always on camera. We did get Jeff to show up last time in Vegas, which was awesome, but definitely give them a shout out there as well for all of their contributions. And to the entire rest of the Cornucopias team, I definitely want to take a moment to give a special shout out to Josh from Lake and Crypto, who's invited me for multiple streams to play the actual game. And so definitely recommend you guys check him out there as well, fellow Cardano content creator. That will do it here for today's update, breaking down everything Cornucopias. If you, the viewer, found any portion of today's interview to be helpful or informational, please make sure to smash that thumbs up. It's one of the best ways to support me as a content creator. And it's also a great way to let everybody know outside of the existing community what the Cornucopias team is bringing to the table. If you want more content like this, consider subscribing to Dapp Central. And last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave those down below. I'll make sure to get those over to the team. That said, and as always, we'll see you all in the next video. Cheers, everybody.